back, everyone, to Public Affairs. I am your host, Kaylee Aiken, and today I'm here with the Marion Mayor. We've got a lot to talk about today, so let's just jump into it. Mayor, let's start out with talking about the Downtown Arch Project.
Our Downtown Arch Project is something that's very exciting, that is actually coming to fruition very quickly. We have financing in place to create, assemble, and install a very grand arch over Main Street. So it'll be on Main Street, on South Main near Founders Park, so South Main and Church Street. It will go over the entire street. It will be a architectural arch that will have a lighted sign. We're still working on the actual artwork and the design of what will be up there, whether it will say City of Marion, Marion Downtown. So we want to kind of get a lot of the downtown people's opinion on that, as well as the citizens of Marion and City Council. And once we come up with a final rendering, we'll be glad to bring that in and show it to everybody. We're very excited about this project. It is actually going to be a lighted arch also that we will be able to change colors on. So on St. Patty's Day, it might be green. On Halloween, it might be orange. On Law Enforcement Memorial Day, it might be blue. So a lot of different aspects and different lighting that we can do with that. The most important part of this project is, again, we always talk about community partnerships and collaboration. And this is a community partnership between the City of Marion, Downtown Marion, Inc., and Tri-Rivers Career Center. Now, where each one of those people come into play is the Downtown Marion, Inc. is actually the recipient of the $100,000 grant that we got from the Capital Improvement Project Fund from the state of Ohio with the help of Tracy Richardson. And they will monitor the grant, they'll accept the grant, and see throughout the city, and Downtown Marion, Inc. will work together during the construction phase of this arch. And where Tri-Rivers Career Center comes into play is they have an excellent welding and fabrication program out there that they run. And this was presented to them, and they were very excited to take on this project. So they will actually be doing the metal fabrication and welding. And once the arch is installed, then the city will take ownership of the arch, and we will continue to maintain that arch for the years to come, make sure it stays up to date, all the maintenance is done on it, and everything stays safe with the arch. So, in 20 years from now, those kids from Tri-Rivers will be able to drive by with their kids and say, I helped build that. And we're very excited about that coming downtown, and hope to get started on that project this fall when the kids go back to school. We don't have an exact timeline yet of when it will be completed, but I would say by early spring next year, you'll see this arch completed, and we'll be lighting up the South Main Street area.
Yeah, it's always nice to bring some beautification to Marion City.
Absolutely.
Speaking of, where are we at in the Love Your Neighborhood?
So talking about beautification, our third project actually begins this week, July 24th and 25th, and that is taking place in the East Center Street area, Sharpless Court, Harcourt, DeWolf Court, all between Center Street and the tracks at the northern end of those streets. So we have that 4-block radius set that will be beautifying, removing trash, debris, junk cars, those kind of things to improve that neighborhood. And again, that takes place this week. Our fourth project will be held August 21st and 22nd. And we're still trying to figure out the exact location for that project, as well as the fifth project, which will take place September 25th and 26th. So we're still trying to determine those locations. As I always like to state, we are always, a lot of people call and say, how can I volunteer, or how can I show up, or my business would like to send some people, my organization would like to send some people. So we're always looking for volunteers to help with the actual cleanup. And we also always look for businesses or organizations to volunteer to provide lunch on one of those 2 days for the workers and the city workers and everybody so they can eat and get back to work and don't have to leave for lunch. So if you would like to volunteer in either one of those aspects, you can contact Zach Himmler, who is the code enforcement person for this program. He can be reached at zhimmler@marionohio.org. So if anybody would like to send volunteers or provide lunches, you can reach out to him via that email, and he'll get you all the specifics on that.
Yeah, it's always important to have volunteers to be able to help with projects like that. What is going on with community partnership here in Marion City?
So as we talk about every week, one of the big things that we believe to be very important and an integral part of city government is the community partnerships we form with different businesses, organizations, downtown development type groups. And we are very excited to announce our community partnership with the Marion YMCA and Marion City Schools to reopen what was formerly known as the City Recreation Center, which is at the rear of City Hall. For a lot of the older folks, they might know that as the freshman building or the old freshman building. And that building used to be in operation as a rec center until the budget crisis of around 2011, 2012, when the city had to cut very deep cuts into the budget, and the recreation department basically ceased to exist at that time. So that building's been used for a few things throughout, history during that time from 2012 till now. And we felt it was very important to get that back open as a city recreation center. And we couldn't do it by ourselves, so we developed partnerships with the YMCA and Marion City Schools to reopen this center, and it will be known just simply as the Rec. And the Rec will be a place that will be open to all of the youth of our community, that will provide sporting activities, life learning lessons, tutoring assistance, mental health and counseling services, teen leadership training, youth summer camps, and summer food programs. And that list is only as long as our imagination. So we continue to think up things that we can do to benefit the youth of our community, or services that might not be provided elsewhere. So we have a continuing pact with the YMCA and Marion City Schools that we get together and we try to think of other programming or other resources that we might be able to provide in that center for the youth of the city of Marion. So we're very excited that this went through council again last night, and we are in the final stages of signing a use agreement with the YMCA to get this up and started. And we plan to have several events there for the remainder of 2024, and actually will be up and running full time, we predict, at the beginning of the year for 2025. So we kind of want to let the youth sample what we're going to provide, for the rest of the summer and into the fall, and then get a pretty rigorous programming event set up that they'll know when the regular hours are, they'll know when open gyms are, they'll know when they can go in to get after-school tutoring. It may even end up being a bus drop-off location for schools. The kids will be able to go there after school until 5:30, 6 o'clock when their parents get off work, and then be able to be picked up there. So, like I said, it is only limited by our imagination of what we're trying to do there. And we have very, very committed partners in that. City Council's very committed to seeing that happen. So we're excited that we're able to make that announcement. In fact, if you go by there now, you'll see a couple of banners on the front and the back deeming this the Rec and our community partnership.
Yeah, they're not the only ones excited. I am too.
Everybody's excited.
We started talking about this last week, and it got me going because, like you said, the options are limitless. Speaking of community coming together with YMCA and everything, what is the community doing with the tire cleanup project?
So this past Saturday, we had our annual community tire drop-off event. And basically what happens is we open up. This year, I think we had 3 huge dumpsters there that from 8 to noon people in the Marion community could do a drive-through at Lincoln Park where these dumpsters were located and just pull up with your truck full of tires or your van with tires, and they were offloaded by volunteers that we had at the center. And I'm happy to announce that we took over 1,500 tires that end up in our alleyways or vacant lots, because people have a hard time getting rid of tires. Just everybody don't take them. So we were able to get grant funding to host this event. And I went up there myself. Saturday, actually, we had a very busy day in Marion. Saturday morning, I was at the wreath lane at the Harding Memorial, which is where we memorialize the events of President Warren G. Harding and what he did for our nation. That was a great event that I was very much appreciative and honored to be invited to say the opening remarks for that. So in between that and 1 o'clock in the afternoon, when we had a bunch of legislators coming to town because they wanted to view a city like Marion that is an older city but has been revitalized and continue to revitalize into staying relevant in your community.
Yeah.
So in between that, I stopped at the tire drop-off. So I'm in a suit and tie, so I really wasn't in the appropriate clothing to start humping tires and putting them in the dumpster. But I got to visit with a lot of our volunteers. I would like to expressly thank the Pleasant football team, which the impact program from the Marion Police Department reached out to the Pleasant football team and knew they were looking for a community service project. So we had a bunch of big buff high schoolers there from the football team that were helping load the tires, and our only cost to that was feeding them pizza for lunch and providing them a Love Your City shirt, so they didn't they were all pretty dirty by the end of the day, pretty dirty and sweaty. And just during the time that I was there, it was a constant stream of cars that would just pull up, have tires in the back. And the one common theme that I found to be very satisfying and warmed my heart was a lot of these people said, these aren't all from my house. I kind of went around my neighborhood and saw a couple laying in the alley here or a couple in a vacant lot there. So I knew I could get rid of them. So I grabbed a hold of them and brought them up here so they could be properly disposed of, where they'll end up being recycled into some kind of mulch type things for playgrounds and whatever. So that is another way, in addition to Love Your Neighborhood, that we provide an outlet for people to beautify their own neighborhood and get rid of these eyesores and give them a way to get rid of them for free. So just another service of our big project of making the city a beautiful place.
Yeah, take the community effort from everyone to
Absolutely.
jump in.
It takes a village.
Yeah, absolutely.
It does.
One thing to give back to them is these pickleball courts that we talked about last time.
So as we all know, pickleball is becoming the fastest growing leisure time activity in the nation. And it is done by anywhere from young teenagers all the way to senior citizens. And we currently have 2 pickleball courts located at the Marion Senior Center out on Harding Highway West. And those pickleball courts, no matter when you go by there, there's always somebody there playing. So we know that the need in the community is very strong for more pickleball courts. So we are in the very early stages of planning, again, keeping in line with our hope of revitalizing Lincoln Park and making it a place that is a pinnacle point of our community for people to go. And we're looking at putting maybe 6 pickleball courts up at Lincoln Park and maybe a few more pickleball courts out at Sawyer Ludwig Park. So like I said, we're in the very beginning phases of that. We're looking at grant funding for those opportunities. So I'm not sure that we'll get that done by the end of this year, but it's definitely on our radar for this year into next year. And hopefully by the time we talk next spring, we'll have some new pickleball courts set up for people in Marion to use.
Yeah. At least they might not be completely done now, but it's always nice to start planning and looking forward to something.
It takes a long time for one of these projects to come to fruition. Just like the Arch project, we started thinking about right after I took office in January. And we were fortunate in the fact that we already had some funding in place for a different project that ended up not being a fulfillable project, but through the help of Tracy Richardson, we were able to reappropriate that money to our arch project. So that project moved along a little bit quicker than a normal project was. So right now we're in the grant hunting phase of trying to find a grant. Much like the grant we have in place for the trail at Lincoln Park, the leisure trail that will begin yet this fall. And we have 3 phases of that, again, like we've already talked about. We have the first phase that's already paid for, and then we have phase 2 and 3 where we want to encircle the park with this trail. So we're always looking for grant opportunities, and that takes a lot of work to write a grant and to facilitate the grant and then to moderate the grant after you already have it. So grants are a great way to pay for those kind of things in your community that you might not have money for in the general fund budget.
Yeah, definitely a backup and nice to have there. Let's talk about the tall grass program.
So the tall grass program I wanted to mention this week because beginning back in spring when the rain starts and grass starts to grow, and sometimes it grows faster than we can keep up with even on our own yard, many of these places that are abandoned properties or what we call frequent flyers of people that just let their grass grow and cause an eyesore in a neighborhood. So we actually have an ordinance on file within the city of Marion that once your grass gets to be over 6 inches tall, weed and grass, that you can contact the safety director's office and file a complaint. You say, look, there's a house in my neighborhood. It might be an abandoned house. And we ask that people give us the house number if they know it. Sometimes it's just a vacant lot without a house number, so we get the best description that we can. And they file a complaint with Amy O'Connor, who works out of the safety director's office. And what happens after that process is the complaint is filed, and she'll send out the people that we actually have hired. We have seasonal people that are hired for the tall grass program. So they send out somebody to look at the property or in regards to the complaint, and if they see that they are in violation of the ordinance, which is over 6 inches tall, then they will post a notice on that property stating that, you are in violation of this code, and you have 5 days to remediate the problem. So you have 5 days to mow it yourself, and they send out a certified letter to the homeowner stating the same thing. And if they come back after the 5-day period and the grass has still not been mowed or the weeds remediated, then we will in turn mow the grass, and then we bill the homeowner or the property owner for the cost of what it cost us to mow the grass. So like I said, some of the statistics she gave me today were just this year alone. We have tagged, meaning we've posted notice on 611 properties.
Wow.
Just since the beginning of grass season, which is about April. And out of that 611, 170 of those were taken care of or remediated by the homeowner. So which is what that's what our focus is try to get the homeowner to take care of it themselves and remediate the problem. And we've just in this time alone, we've tagged over 100 more properties this year than we have at the same time last year. So it's not that, and all of these are complaint driven. We don't just go out driving around and see high grass and try to pick on somebody. These are complaints that we receive in a neighborhood, and everybody wants the neighborhood to look nice and be safe, because once you start getting overgrown grass, then you start getting mice and rats, and it just runs down the neighborhood.
Yeah.
So we talked about those tires. Somebody sees an empty lot with a lot of tall grass in it, they might just think that's a good place to dump some tires. So we try to keep that from happening. We work very closely with the code enforcement officer for the city of Marion. Patrolman Danny Ice from the police department is our code enforcement officer. We work very closely with the zoning department, which is Zach Hemler, the person we mentioned for Love Your Neighborhood. And we work very closely with the county health department, because a lot of times when the guys go out to view the property or to inspect it to see if they are in violation, they find unsafe, unsecure houses that have a lot of trash or junk cars in the yard. So then we have to bring those other community partners in to try to help remediate the problem. And so a lot of those are what lead up to the Love Your Neighborhood program. And when we go out and try to target a certain area that we see a lot of those violations in, and try to help the homeowners remediate the problems. So anytime, again, if you have a property to report, just call the safety director's office at 740-387-4705, or you can email Amy O'Connor at aoconnor@marionohio.org, and you can remain anonymous. We just ask that you try to give us the address or a good description of where the lot or the property is, and then we'll take over from there.
Yeah. I knew that it was a problem. Obviously, there's some people that can't get out and mow their yard or something like that. But I didn't realize the statistics were that high.
I was kind of surprised myself when I saw those numbers today. Just taking over in January, I wasn't really aware of how in-depth that program is. And obviously, there's a need for it, and that's why we have that department, is to take care of all the complaints we get about tall grass and weed and blight.
Yeah. Well, let's move on. How has the Third Thursdays been?
So Third Thursdays, we just had an event last week, and we had great weather that night. It wasn't blistering hot like it had been the month before. We had a lot of great people downtown, and if they came downtown, they might have seen one of our new additions, which we have a tent canopy that has Love Your City, City of Marion, our logo, our branding. And at that tent, we usually have different city workers that volunteer to work the booth that night. And last week it was Julie Welch from the Transit Department and Tacey Courtright, who's my budget director. They both wanted to go out there and spend the evening. And we do a lot of passing out stickers, our Love Your City stickers, which are available to anybody, either at Third Thursday or in my office. They can be gotten from my secretary anytime that somebody might want one of those. And again, I have more compliments. When I was there that night with the two girls working the booth, I don't know how many people stopped and just said how great the downtown is looking with all of our flowers, our adopt-a-bed program that we had, and the city taking care of those beds. And the flowers, I mean, if you go downtown, they're just flourishing.
Yes.
Things are growing great. We're keeping everything watered and looking nice. Before you know it, the Popcorn Festival will be here, and everybody will be enjoying the entire downtown and get to see the fruits of our labor that we and the citizens of Marion have put in to our downtown. So I know that the next Third Thursday event is August 15th. And again, we welcome everybody to come down. It's a great night of fellowship with the kids. There's bounce houses. There's a lot of vendors down there, food trucks. It's just a great evening, live music. Everybody enjoys it, and everybody has a good time.
Yeah. Well, now that we've talked about the Love Your Neighborhood project and everything that entails, let's talk about the Love Your Senior Task Force.
So I know that everybody is seeing this kind of a big theme of Love Your City. Has a lot of bullet points below that might be Love Your Neighborhood or Love Your Seniors. This task force was set up by my office to bring all of the people together to try to survey our seniors in our community to see what needs they may have that are not being provided by our agency or by another agency. And we've taken surveys, and we will kind of see the fruits of all of those labors on August 27th from 8 a.m. until noon at the Senior Center here in Marion. we will be having our Love Your Senior Summit. And basically what that is us getting together, talking about all of the results of the survey and the needs that we found and how we're going to address those needs. So if you're a senior, even if you're not a senior and you want to see what's going on with that program, come out August 27th from 8 a.m. till noon to the Senior Center, and it'll be a nice event that everybody will get to be in the know about our Love Your Senior program.
Yeah. Let's talk about the expanding utilities payment. We talked a little bit about this.
So we had always heard that when we have staff meetings at City Hall, we have them once a month with all of the department heads. And one of the things that came from my utility billing supervisor, Andrea, had said that, a lot of people come in here and they talk about they go to Kroger's, when they get paid or when they get paid once a month, they go there and pay all their bills at once. You could pay your gas bill, your water bill, your electric bill, but you were never able to pay your city utility bills, which is sewer and sanitation. So she took it upon herself to reach out to Kroger's, and we were able to figure out how that process works. We were able to get it cleared by the administration at City Hall for us to participate in that program. It comes along with signing a contract and making sure all of the things are in place. And I'm very happy to say that in the very near future, we're just waiting on the final okay from Kroger's and the company that does that. And you soon will be able to pay your sanitation and sewer bill at Kroger's, any Kroger's. It doesn't just have to be the Kroger in Marion. Some people live in Bucyrus. So if you go to Kroger's, you'll be able to pay all of your utility bills kind of in a one-stop shop. And we feel that that's a benefit to the citizens, so they don't have to make a special trip to City Hall during City Hall hours and try to pay their bill.
I know, it's always difficult for me when I'm running errands.
Trying to make it easier for everybody.
Yeah. So as we're getting ready to wrap up, let's talk about some of the job opportunities in Marion.
So we're still looking for a city engineer. We haven't had hardly any applications for that, so we're looking for a city engineer. We're still looking for part-time transit drivers for the transit department. Still looking for a senior center driver out at the senior center. And one that we just found out today was we're going to be in need after this week for a senior center transit coordinator. And basically what that person does out there is coordinates all of the senior transportation. We talked about it, I think, early in the year where we started taking people out of town for doctor's appointments, and those have to be scheduled in advance. So it's a pretty busy office when they're trying to schedule all of the trips that our seniors need here in town and to keep everybody on schedule. That person, unfortunately, is leaving, and we will need to fill that position.
Yeah. Well, time is running out on us real quick, but I want to thank you for coming out and meeting with me today. We talked about a lot of topics, so getting the Marion citizens to know what's in our city.
We appreciate that, and just like to say, keep our Facebook page in mind, Love Your City, Marion, Ohio, Love Your City Facebook page. Very good for any information you might want to know that's going on in the city. You can also watch city council meetings live now, live streamed on our Facebook page, or watch it on YouTube a couple of days after if you choose to do that. So Mayor Bill Collins reminding everybody to love your city.
Love your city. And as always, you're watching Public Affairs, and I am your host, Kaylee Aiken.